Welcome to Office Hours with Matt Rubens, our lead developer, and Dan, one of our engineers. I'm Hannes Rudolph, the Roo Code community manager. Having an interesting time here playing around with um, GPT-5 Mini and Groq, the new Kimi model. How's it going, Matt?
Doing well. Yeah, it's been an exciting week. A lot of discourse on Twitter and in Discord around evals. A lot of new models. It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to test one today. And here, let's play with GPT-5 Mini. But you know what? Let's try it. I'm going to do it with this remote control. Let's see what happens. I don't know if any of you have seen this. This is a feature that we've sort of released. It's out there if you want to try it. We haven't been standing on the mountaintops yet. So I'm going to type in here Flappy Bird and hit enter. This is simulation. If you were on your phone, this is what it would look like. Okay. Oh, okay. You can see it's going both. Yeah, it's mirroring pretty damn quickly. Matt, you want to tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about this product? I put you on the spot here, 100%.
Sounded like Dan was going to say something. You want to take this one, Dan? Or I'm happy to.
I was gonna say it's keeping it like in real time as well. That's really good. But no, you take it.
Yeah. So I remember, like, I don't know how long ago it was. Feels like years ago, but I think it's probably like 8 months that Roo Code started. And we're all like hitting approve button, on every action,
Oh my
and
gosh,
then
approve, approve, approve. That was
back in
miserable.
the Stone Age, and then Hannes and I kind of met when we both had like simultaneous, PRs to auto approve the commands. But ever
Born
since
to be
then, I think it's
lazy.
just yeah, it's just been a story of like getting lazier and lazier, and letting the models, cook and cook and cook a little bit more. So it went from taking like a few seconds away from monitoring them. And I find myself where these things can run. I have one running right now that's just been going for like half an hour. And it makes me feel like it doesn't need to actually be the main thing on my monitor. And I don't even need to even be looking at my monitor. I could touch grass, try to remember what that feels like, walk the dog, make a coffee. Just really, and obviously a lot of other people are working on this as well. But I just think the development's changing. You don't need to be at your computer all the time. You're really just all I do is I use the root code window. I don't write code anymore. Maybe not everyone's there, but you just need a chat interface. I think the web is great for chat interfaces. So yeah, we've made it so that one of the first pieces of functionality in Roo Code Cloud is what we call Roomote Control, which is the ability to check in on your tasks while you're stepping away from your computer, while you're doing multiple at once. Maybe you don't have to have them all be the primary thing, and that yeah, over time, I think development's going to go more and more that way. It's going to be less of looking at code all day, more looking at how your tasks are doing, where they're stuck, where they need your input. And I really believe in that. We've been seeing it a lot internally. We've also been getting a little bit ahead of what this currently does. Currently, this connects to the VS Code. You can kind of look at it side by side. Hannes can find a lot of bugs of places where they're not exactly the same, but it also connects to things like you all might have seen the remote that is trying to fix your issues or trying to review the PRs. You can the same interface. You can see what those are doing as well. You can give them follow ups. You can interject stuff. You can cancel. You can switch the mode. So it's pretty exciting. We're working at the same time. We want to make sure the things we do actually work. So we're in a very kind of slow rollout right now. We love like early feedback from many of you all and appreciate that to you who've already been trying it out. But yeah, it's been fun. We've been talking about this future for a long time. It's exciting to see it. Yeah, go ahead, Hannes.
Look at this. We've got it. We've got a guy. Can I point on the screen? That's Adam. Welcome. Um, he,
Sorry, I'm
he
running
jumped in
behind
here
that.
while you were talking. No, we didn't totally cue you up properly. I touched base with you like while you were sleeping and was like, hey, and you didn't answer because you were sleeping. So welcome, Adam. GosuCoder to anybody who doesn't know. Have you had a chance to give this remote control a try?
Dude, I use this a lot actually. So I don't know. I did a video on it. I don't know. It's probably a week or so ago. Where I have a server over here. I had 4 versions of VS Code running, and was running like 4 tasks at the same time, like getting different iterations on it. It's really, really cool. Like I think it's a great. I think Matt, you and I were chatting like months ago about remote agents, and I think the approach that you guys have used is pretty awesome because the downside to the ones where they control your environment, they being like the remote agent infrastructure, is that you have to sync your entire GitHub repository with it. Where in this approach, you're literally just controlling it in your own environment. You don't have to worry about environment configuration. You just have it up and running, and it's actually really, really cool. Had good
Something
luck with it.
Well, something that we really wanted to do with this was this is not the end of what you can do with remote. This is the beginning
For
of what you
sure.
can do with remote. And the idea that first and foremost, if you're just a person that uses VS Code in the way that you're used to using it, we want to complement that and not force you out of that environment. We find that a
Exactly.
lot of the tools that are out there have sort of forced you, have said, look, go use a command line. And some of them can be pretty neat, but you're used to running what you're used to running every day. So to be able to complement that with this tool, instead of forcing you into the cloud agent scenario, which those have awesome uses.
100%.
And
Yep.
there's totally, this is not, like I said, the first of remote, but yeah, that's what we wanted to release first because we were looking at other products, other things to release first, and we landed on this because we really love to get the community excited about what they can do with Roo Code and VS Code. We don't want to take that away from them, and Roo Code is a free VS Code plugin, and we want to keep it that way, and we want to keep making it better. So this allows you to take advantage of all the new features as we come out with them. This isn't sort of pushing everything into the cloud and saying, look, you have to pay to get, crazy amount to get access. No, just keep using VS Code and Roo Code. How are you using it? We're charging $20 a month to have unlimited access to remote control your VS Code as many instances as you want. 14-day free trial, and yeah, that's sort of how it came about as the first paid product we launch. So,
Yeah, I
we
like it. It's
just
very polished too. You guys did a good job with it, so kudos to you guys.
well, Matt, I think we were 2 weeks behind on that release date, aren't we? We kept polishing it.
We're not allowed. We're not allowed to say 2 weeks anymore. It's a curse. it's a,
Yeah. Anytime you ask an engineer how long something's going to take, it's always 2 weeks. Like no matter how big or small it is. I'm joking, but that felt like
yeah,
the truth back.
yeah.
You know
And
what?
yeah,
It's
just
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say there's some questions here too. Like we don't want to, or at least I don't want to say never, but at this point we're not excited about getting into like the fixed cost. We cover the inference for you. We've kind of seen that movie before. I think it just takes you to a weird place. There's some question about whether this includes inference. And the answer is no. Like what we're trying to do is we're trying to charge for kind of additive tools on top of the free, additive optional tools on top of the free open source VS Code experience. It feels like it's the right way to find a balance between keeping this sustainable for the company and that works on it, as well as really doing right by the open source community and everyone who's contributed to the tool. So yeah, with these things, right now this one's currently running on your machine, so it is using your own inference. As we move into cloud agents, like the idea is that also you would cover the inference there and you'd have control over what inference is used and the security and the privacy and the keys and things. And maybe someday we would
Yeah.
add an option where we could potentially take care of that for you. But I don't want to get in the game where we charge you $20 a month and then we just try to shitify, the thing to make it fit into the $20. Like, again, there's lots of places to do that. And want to try to do something different here.
Here, I'm going to
Yeah,
pause the invigorating conversation we have going on here to talk a bit about what we've got going on the screen because I'd like to keep people's eyes entertained while they listen. What we did here is we jumped into Roo Code, Roomote Control. We created a task and we selected GPT-5 Mini, which has been pretty impressive. It did this in like 2 minutes or something. It made a Flappy Birds game. it made a whatchamacallit, a memory game and another game. So it did okay. I had to tell it to change it from a block. I mean, this isn't that pretty. This is very much an MVP, but I mean, it's working. So I want to try another game. Let's try Groq. What do you guys say? Have you had a chance to play around with the new Groq model, Adam?
Yes, I actually have used Groq quite a bit. I'm still blown away how many tokens are getting pumped through it because I find it okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't find it like the model that I would use for my daily coder yet. It has gotten better. I don't know what you guys think, but it feels like man, it's just getting so many tokens pumped through it on OpenRouter now. It blows my mind.
Well, here I'm going to go stick in code mode here,
Yeah, let's see what
and
this does.
oh man, I think that we need a search on this menu because there's no way I'm doing that. Okay, I've got way too many models there. So let's try. I don't know. I'm gonna
I think
refresh
you
that.
saw. Oh yeah,
No,
maybe it'll
that
load
was a
it.
different one. I've got
Got
like
it.
I don't know. I've got 3 of them.
Oh, you're using
Groq,
you're using you're using
Groq.
Ki-
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm talking Kimi, Groq Kimi's model. Not
Okay.
Groq Code Fast. The new Kimi
Okay.
model. I
Okay.
said
So
it
now
wrong.
I understand what you're saying. So I actually freaking love this new Kimi model. Like I think this thing is baller. And I
What
also use
temperature?
it on Groq. 0.6 is what I run it at.
Okay, I got that a little off. Let's fix that. Got 0.5. Okay, keep going. Tell us about this model.
Um, but in general, like it works exceptionally well. Like in pretty much all the tools that I ended up running it. Groq is so fast with it too. Up until you get to about 60 or so thousand context window, then it slows down, a pretty decent amount. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really like what they did here. The challenge that I think Kimi has in general is the model's just so big. Like I was looking at like the size to actually download this. If you want to run the full precision model, you need like 2 terabytes of system RAM, like video RAM, to actually be able to do it. It's like
Whoa.
absolutely astronomical. So these providers are doing some magic to get this thing running this fast. So you probably won't get, if you hit Kimi directly, you're getting 13 to 15 tokens per second. Groq, you're getting 100 or so when I was testing it before, which is
You
so
know
much
what's
better.
really cool is I'm only using 841 tokens. I
So
think there's something wrong with the reporting.
I
Hey,
I
do you have,
actually
do you have nightly? Update nightly. I fixed it.
I'm
oh,
not
okay,
using
cool.
nightly. This is the demo. I'm using the latest release. Yeah, I
Live
know
So,
it's
dangerously.
so Matt, was this a problem just with Groq reporting? Because I saw this in like all my Groq reports where it didn't
yeah.
feel like the token count was right.
Yeah, it's a problem with the implementation in the native Groq
Okay,
provider.
cool,
I don't know. The hole goes deep on Anthropic token count, Anthropic style versus OpenAI style token
cool.
counting. Whether or not it was specific to caching, and whether you count those as part of the input tokens. My bad. Or
What
Roomote didn't review it correctly. I'll blame that.
what about
Mm.
a context window too? Because one of the things I saw with Groq is I do side by side with Kimi K2, like on OpenRouter, and then one with Groq, and my context window would be like 1,000 with Groq, and then it'd be like
Yeah,
30,000. Is that
yeah,
also
yeah.
part
That's
of
the
what's
same.
fixed? Okay, cool,
Yeah, it's fixed now nightly if you're feeling lucky. I think we'll probably
sweet,
release later today.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
No,
wondering
no.
about that. I brought that up in the video I did on Kimi. I was like, I think that's being calculated incorrectly because there's no way it's that low there.
I
It's the
mean, I'm
equivalent
sure
of
you followed it up by creating an issue, so we fixed it. No, I'm just kidding.
I did not do that. I should have done that, but I wasn't totally
Ah,
sure that was the
you know
problem.
what? I run across little issues while I'm working and I'm in the middle of something. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like create an issue or create a fix for it in like a minute, but I gotta finish the task I'm doing, right? And so sometimes you just don't have the time because if it's a big
Yep,
like a breaking bug, then I jump on it right away. But otherwise, it's like, I mean, we're rolling pretty quick. The
it's working.
spacing's off.
Yep,
Whatever, I'll deal with it in a minute,
right.
and it never comes.
Yeah,
It's burning.
someone did bring this up. I do think what we're going to see is in the future less and less of these big models, just simply for how expensive they are to run. And I think we're going to see more things like Qwen 3 Coder and Groq Code Fast. So I would love Kimi to come up with like a Kimi Coder that has like that same ability to call tools, has some of the flair as to it. That's unfortunate that crashed, but that looked pretty before you got there.
No, it's good. Hit space. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
Nope.
doesn't look like it's going to do anything.
Also, Adam, have you noticed better performance, not in speed, but also like quality of the output on Groq compared to other providers?
Yes, at times. It's so tough because it varies. I think Groq. What's interesting about Groq is, like, I think it works well at a lower temperature than. So, like, I told him 0.6. If I were running it on like a different provider, I probably would have told him like 0.7 or 0.75 because it's like you have to go a little bit lower. So there's like different configuration you have to do. Um, That's what makes all this so complicated. And there's a paper that Groq put out where they talk about like how their temperatures run warmer based on the way they do quantization. And it's a really bizarre thing to configure these
Hey,
things.
hey, Adam, have you?
Only.
Let's introduce our guest here, from Groq, actually.
What's
Hello,
up?
I'm Aarush. I lead
Hello,
Evals
Aarush.
here at Groq.
Nice.
Nice
Here
to
to
meet
answer
you.
any questions about Kimi, Groq, or anything in general.
Well, this is sort of
Very
Fantastic.
a
timely.
last minute thing. Adam, who was talking, he's GosuCoder, a YouTuber. I'm Hannes Rudolph, the community manager. Dan is our one of our engineers, and Matt Rubins, who's also on stage here, is our lead developer. So, welcome, Aarush.
Hello.
Adam,
Glad to be here.
Adam was just singing the praises of Kimi right now, and how impressive the work you guys have been doing is. So.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I say
Well,
it's a massive model. The fact that you guys can run it at the speed you're able to get is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's like honestly, our hardware is something just magical to behold because we're able to shard these models across like so many chips at once that we can basically scale horizontally, like infinitely. So whether it's like a model that's like a 32B or like even like a 1B model or like a model that's a trillion parameters, we can run it at a pretty fast speed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you guys struggle a bit with like queue time or prompt processing time, like to the time to first token, basically? Has that been a challenge with some of the scale you guys have had?
I think it's like always a problem for any form of inference provider to deal with like larger and larger contexts. One of the solutions that we've come up with is kind of deprioritizing longer context requests just so that we have more capacity for shorter context ones. Like we'll process them, but like we'll get to them like just a little later. Because when you
Gotcha.
have like 100,000 tokens, then it's kind of expected that it's going to take a
A
little
little bit
longer
longer.
to complete the request.
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I was trying to do some evaluation of Grok and try to understand how you guys were doing the queuing. That's why I was asking that question because I could see like pretty big variance between less than a second all the way up to like 5, 6, 7 seconds before you get your first token. So it makes sense that you would do it that way.
Yep. Yep. It's also just that, then it takes longer to process even if we don't like queue it up. Um, you know, there's gonna be like a difference between like a 1,000 token context and 100,000 token one.
Totally. Yeah. And now that you guys have caching, I'm sure that helps some, like remove some of that processing that occurs there.
Oh,
From
absolutely.
that.
Yeah. After like the first request, everything is like like a
Yeah.
markedly faster.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So you guys sort of, I don't think we were expecting another model from you guys so soon. You sort of surprised us with this. I think we got caught off guard and we were an hour or two behind on the announcement. Can you tell us a little bit about how this came about and why you guys decided to release when you did?
Yeah, so we've been in contact with the good folks at Moonshot when we first like YOLO launched their original Kimi K2 model. Like the story behind the original launch was essentially Moonshot launched Kimi K2. people were seeing like pretty good traction. And then one of our engineers, Omar, saw it and was like, okay, I want to launch this model. So we basically did all of the work without sleeping for 3 days straight and
Dang.
got it out the door. So of course that landed us on Kimi's radar. And when they were about to release their next model, they reached out and were like, "Hey, do you guys want to host this on Groq?" So we got like a few hours of notice and stood it up.
Wow, that's crazy. So I trust you've had at least a few hours sleep since this release.
Yeah,
Now,
hopefully this one was easier to deploy.
Just a few. Last one was like diabolical, but this one was
Yeah.
just a little calmer.
Well,
I
we
always
appreciate
assume
it.
it's like calmer for everyone else, and it's just crazy for us. We need some kind of bad signal that we're all connected to for these new releases where you can coordinate. It's just
I know
chaos.
Yeah.
everybody else feels so calm, and then it's like, there's so much going on. It's crazy.
yeah, but I
The secret
find, I
is
mean,
that like
go ahead. Sorry.
the secret is that like everybody internally is like screaming the same way that you guys are. So we were all in the same boat here.
I find that there is, it seems like in this space right now, there's a lot based on who gets the headlines. And it's sort of crazy what goes on Twitter. Whoever gets to post first about something gets all the headlines. And so this space is moving fast. And I love that people are looking to post, unique and genuine, um, advancements or announcements on Twitter to cut through all the static. And it's really great. And I guess whoever works really hard to make something happen gets the payday. So
Yeah, I guess so.
let's
Can you,
try this.
while he's
Go
running
ahead.
this, Aarush, can you give me a little bit more insight, or us a little bit more insight into like how temperature works with Groq? Because I've done some research and it seems like we should be configuring our temperatures lower with Groq, and that kind of plays out when I'm doing like evals on long-running agentic tasks. That Groq actually runs a little bit warmer than others, and I know there's a paper that I actually saw on that. Are you guys configuring default temperatures in your deployed versions? Like, do we need to be really trying to fine tune it on our end? How's that look from your perspective?
Yeah, that's interesting because I actually haven't seen much of a difference in when it comes to like setting temperatures on GPUs versus on LPUs, our hardware. I found that it's quite similar, and it varies model to model. Um, every provider has their own sort of implementation quirks that they have to either optimize for quality or throughput. But yeah, we do set default temperatures for our models, and we try to set them based off of what we find customers will find as like the best quality or like the best performance of the model. But I'd be curious to hear like how you're finding runs warmer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a paper I found that you guys had put out that talked about the way you guys quantize, or I'm not an expert in that, to be totally honest. But it actually it had some formulas in there that actually showcased that Groq's temperatures typically are on the warmer side. I'm gonna try to find that. I'll send that over to you because I think it's really interesting. I went down the rabbit hole of trying to understand how that's possible and how that works. Be curious, how much that's still accurate today with what you guys are doing.
That's interesting. How long ago was this like paper published?
I actually ran into it about 3 months ago is when I did it, and actually I
Hmm.
can give you the exact date on it. Maybe it wasn't even that long. So it was. I take that back. It was about 6 weeks ago
Cool.
that I actually
Nice.
ran into it. So I don't,
Is this the one? Okay. We can discuss more like once you send me
yeah,
the paper. I think I'll have a better
I mean, this
understanding then.
this is the kind of stuff people in the podcast love to hear about because I mean, they didn't come here to hear me talk. I'm just trying to get you guys together to hear the cool stuff that goes on because I mean, this is interesting. So don't shut it down on behalf of the podcast.
it's interesting to me too because I spent a lot of time like testing long-running agentic like tasks, and then being able to score and evaluate those, and then being able like Gemini was one of the first models that actually realized you get very different scores between different temperatures, and it's very repeatable. And then I've slowly started kind of like spreading that out to other models as well. So Kimi's for one that does that on, pretty substantially. You can kind of zone in on a best temperature there. And then you start adding in provider variants on top of it and how they're quantizing or whatever their default settings are. Like, I don't know, I'm not on the provider side, but you can also start getting repeatable like variances in there. So it's a fascinating, very complicated space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just find it really interesting that you're seeing this for like long running like agentic tasks. Do you have any like specific evals that you run when like a new model comes out that you really trust? Because for context, Groq also has this open source eval framework called OpenBench, and we're trying to make it the easiest way to run almost any eval out there. Like it for context, it's like super easy to run like MMLU, like GPQA, all of like the standard evals against basically any provider. So I'd be curious what you would like to see
Hold on. I'm
like
going to
us
pause for a
evaluate on.
sec and interrupt. We ran GPT-5 Mini yesterday, and it hit 99% on our evals.
Which
So,
is awesome.
it's not odd. Our evals suck. And you just brought up that you guys have this eval. Can you guys help us get wire your evals up to our system so we can rerun them with a more advanced system? Because when we first started doing evals, this made sense. We weren't at 99, we weren't at 96, and we knew this day would come. And so, yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but do you think you guys could
Yep.
help us get on this?
Yeah, I mean, we actually you guys use the exorcism problems for your evals, right?
Matt, you there still? Where'd Matt go?
Yeah, sorry, trying to find my. Yeah, we're using it's basically the Aider exorcism problems that we're using right now, which, like you all seen, it's probably used to be hard for all models, still hard for some models, but there's definitely a group of models that have made it into the upper 90s. And I think what we're seeing, I wouldn't go as far as what Hannah said. I don't think our evals suck. But I think the fidelity when you get in the high 90s is not enough to be. I think what we see with GPT-5 and what this GPT-5 Mini thing from last night showed is like GPT-5 is better than our evals, and the only thing you can really see, because they're basically all at 100 right now, is that how cheap they are and how fast they are. And I think that
Yep.
you see that now. But I think on one end, it's like I really value the evals because like legitimately they're. I remember when Sonnet 3.5 was the only thing that worked with Roo. And I think the evals are reflecting that there's actually like a bunch of models, 10, 15 of them that work pretty well with Roo right now. And that's great. We should celebrate it. But I think now we just need to, level up a little bit. We need something harder to test it against. We need to be able to tell the difference between the top 15. And that's kind of what I'm excited about doing going forward. So yeah, there's a lot of discourse on Twitter, which I think is mostly sucks or not that I'm trying to get away from. But I think
But
nuance is
what do you mean? I'm
missing.
dragging
And
you right into it.
yeah, fair enough. Hannah's tweets and I clean up. Sorry, it depends. If it's funny, I tweeted it. Yeah, they would love to get your thoughts on this stuff. I know you all have been like kind of looking at that as well. Because I mean, the reason we got into this is I was shocked. I haven't done as much with the evals, but I was just shocked how much of a difference the provider makes. To kind of get back to the earlier point where not not quantizing the same way as others. I actually don't know with Groq like how much this is actually quantized or not, so I don't want to misspeak. But you can definitely see the speed. You can see the impact of caching. I think you can see the impact of not quantizing as much as others, at least. And these are really interesting to me because I think these are valuable to the people using Roo when they're trying to figure out like what do I use, especially if more and more tokens go through this. But evals do feel like an important piece of the puzzle. So yeah, sorry. Back
Yeah.
as you were with Hannes asking you like what you think about evals,
No,
but
no,
I
this
just want
this
to add
is
that
this is what I
context
was
as well.
looking for. This is what I
Yeah.
was digging at.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And even like a lot of the traditionally like hard coding benchmarks like Aider Polyglot and like SweBench are getting close to saturated now. Uh, I I think SweBench is a little further from saturation than Aider is. But uh, yeah, with OpenBench, we're trying to like make it super easy to like run existing evals. So we're actually like SweBench verified is like an active work stream, and I mean, who knows? Maybe we could have like Roo Code be the agent. It would be an agent that you could use to run SweBench, so you could like evaluate different models using Roo Code on that eval. We also like internally have a version of the exercism problems that we're going to open source. I know that Lucas has been doing some work with you, Matt, on trying to figure out how to run Roo code within the eval. But yeah, I think coding evals are something that there's a lot of unexplored avenues for evaluating these models, and the big concern that I have is that a lot of the evals that are out there aren't made like by developers or like the people actually using these models in these specific ways. Uh, so newer evals are needed. More like less saturated evals are definitely needed, and
I think
that's
there's
something that we're like very actively looking at.
I think my problem with the why so you asked about the evals I run. So I have my own
Yeah.
internal suite of evals that I run. And they're much more complex than a lot of the ones I see on the market. A lot of the ones that you see out there, I would say, are kind of like they touch single files or they solve like like a challenging coding problem. Models are just good at that stuff now. The ones that I do are actually very, very time consuming to build. So it's like basically it's like a building or editing or fixing or adding a feature to larger projects. So, and then basically building out the system to kind of prompt to make those changes happen in a way that I can do static code analysis and unit test on the output of it. And then at the same time, being able to use like an LLM as a judge to apply a little bit more using good and bad samples. And I get pretty consistent results with mine. One of the things that has happened though is I've had to retire more and more of them and increase the complexity as I go up, which is again very, very time consuming. But a lot of the evals that I see out there aren't doing, a lot of mine will be from 8 to 30 files that are touched in that regard, or building something from 0 to 1, or editing existing code base, or adding a new feature with a very detailed like spec. So more long running, lots of tokens being thrown out there, and then measuring the output on it, and then running that multiple times over and over again. So that's where I think we need to go personally, is more of that, and having it built. Because the way I start that is I build the solution, and then I basically get it as high quality as I personally can as a developer. Then I build the prompt to try to replicate what I've done with the unit test. And I run that until I iterate to get to a point where it's solid, where the AI is actually able to, if it follows those instructions, it's going to actually get 100% on it. But none of them do. I have some that, have never got over 60% just because of the complexity of what it's trying to do.
So, I
Interesting.
mean,
So are you
sorry, go ahead.
so are you the one who's like so are you basically pair programming with the model for this eval, or are you having it run autonomously? Like, do you have the same prompts for
Autonomously.
every single
It's
model?
it's autonomous. So it's basically like it gives it's imagine like a really like uh some of the prompts can be 400 or 500 lines. Like it details out everything that needs to be there without like filling in the logic. Like it needs to match this sort of output. And then on the flip side of it, doing like checking for linting issues, making sure that could I even tell it what versions of libraries to bring in if it's bringing in libraries, making sure that stuff matches, and then hitting the code like the unit test on it to make sure that it actually meets the requirements that was set in the spec that's given to it. And I let it run. It's basically YOLO mode. Like how far can it get to matching the instructions I give it? Because in reality, that is where I think things are going to go. If you look at what they're doing at Roo Code with like Roomote, I think what we end up getting is using AI to help us build a spec, passing that spec into a tool like Roomote, and then having it build it out. Like how far can we get down that path and be as high quality as possible? And the only way to do that is kind of reverse that and like build the outcome that we want, and then test how close we get to that outcome. And then so that's the approach I've taken with my evals.
Yeah. I think that's also like how a lot of software engineers actually interact with AI, where it's very much like test-driven development. You define like a specific spec, and then you have AI go out and implement something until it fits that spec. Um, yeah, I'd be interested to hear more about like how you actually like what's the grading function for these evals? like the percentage of tests that passed? Do you check for code quality with like an LLM as a judge with like a rubric?
Yep. Yeah, I
Um,
do. So
or is it
30% of my
yeah
30% of my score is LLM as a judge. I do score. Then there's points allocated for unit tests. So and then there's points allocated for static code analysis. So that would be things like I actually go through and I check like are the right library versions in there, that type of stuff. So I actually have I call it subjective and objective tests. So my objective test would be like how many linting errors. I told it should have documentation in these places and it should be at least this long. You're going to get scored for that. So again, it is very time consuming to build one of these tests. It's like not something that I've had a hard time kind of getting this to a place where someone else could actually. I'm actually working on a version 3 that I want to open source. I still want to keep private tests, like internal, because one of the things that I found is anytime I put evals out, I get hit up by everyone to like want to run them. But I feel like we're just gamifying things at that point. Like I want to make sure we've got tests that can't be gamified and like tried to fit for. And I want to make sure we've got like the private one, but I also want the harness there so anybody can run it. And I also want other people to build them because I spend way too much time doing it.
yep yep that makes sense. I think it would be I'd love to like see at some point, and we can talk about this more offline, but I'd love to like
Yeah, man.
see one of these samples and like actually go through and pick your brain on how you're building this because we're doing similar things internally at Groq as well. So
I
it would be
think
interesting to
we've
do
just
some
built a
cross
marriage.
pollination.
We've built a marriage of Roo,
Yeah,
Gosu, and
I do.
Groq for
I
some
do.
serious evals to be the new. Everybody was at one point. Oh, Ader polygot's out. Well, now it could be the the Gosu Roo Code Groq got.
In all seriousness, like I do want help on that, and I've been trying to recruit a few people here and there because I want to build. And it could be I need to look at what OpenBench does. But one of the challenges we run into is like when we really want to test the agent model pairing, which is what my objective is. There's variance in both, right? The harness and the
Yeah.
model, and from prompt-based tool calling to function calling. Testing it in things like Roo Code, you can't automate that. So it is like a manual thing. So you put it in YOLO mode. I call it YOLO mode. You just
Hey,
and then
you can
send it.
automate it. You absolutely can automate it, and we've done it.
I don't know how to automate it.
Let's make this happen. I tell you
Yeah.
what,
So
you give
working
us
on it.
access. We won't publish your
Yeah.
evals. You have those, and we will make them. We'll set them up so you
Yeah.
can run them automated.
That'd be sweet.
Okay, there we go. It's
So
done.
anyway,
It's an agreement. Paper signed.
yeah.
Cool. That's a excellent aside there. I can't get this Flappy Bird start button to. Oh, there we go. Anyways, Flappy Bird. This whole thing is looking pretty good on the whole. I mean, this model has done exceptionally well on my sort of by the seat of my pants eval, which is write some Flappy Bird style games. So yeah, thank you for access. It was very last minute. Okay, let's give it another go. But throw some spice in there. I think we should probably give it a little customization. Anybody have any ideas? Flappy Bird, but use kangaroos, not birds. Okay.
And then
Make it
every point is I don't know. We can make it like something that's Australian. What do we have? Like points are snakes. Yeah, Aussie theme. There you go. I like that too.
In between all the discourse about evals on Twitter, the most stressful thing yesterday was someone asked me if Roo is based on a wallaroo or a kangaroo. And I was like, I just do not know the right answer to this question. Oh, but I think it's kangaroo. So any Australians can help me decide if I answered that one correctly.
Got to be a kangaroo, right?
I don't even know what a wallaroo is.
Only there was a way to find out. Oh well, one day. I don't have encyclopedias, so I'm stuck.
So, yeah, talking a little bit about Kimi, going back to it, because one of the things, I mean, I use these models like in my actual code that I'm doing for my job. And I'll say like GLM and Kimi are incredible at front end development. Like I've had really good luck having them pick up my design system, actually improve things. Oh my God, that's awesome.
It looks like a messed up pig.
Well, it looks like a
Corgi,
toast. It's a piece of toast with a kangaroo on it. It's about to.
Oh my gosh. I tell you what, I'm not Australian. I have been to Australia, and it's not how people talk. I'm sorry. It's very it's writing on stereotypes. That looks more like a pig. It's also impossible. I can't get through.
No, look at that. Crikey, help the kangaroo hop through the outback. I love it.
Oh my gosh. We ruined it. And we have 0 snakes because it's impossible. So the Aussie version of Flappy Birds is just an impossible game. The silos are too close together. Hey, there we go. I mean, it looks a little better.
One day we're going to wake up and now Banana is going to support transparency. That's my other. Yeah. Can you imagine how awesome these games would be if you could make sprites easily?
Yeah,
I don't
that
understand
would
much
be
about the
For
image.
sure.
It just does image diffusion make that impossible? I don't understand how it works at all. It just seems like
No,
make it. I mean, I kind of make a green screen or something. Yeah, go ahead, Aarush.
it's possible. I think GPT Image 1 has support for transparency built into it, actually.
yeah, it does.
Switch to that.
Yeah, that's how we made the emojis on our server.
Nice.
Using GPT. So
I still think you could post-process these images. I haven't tested it yet. I think, Dan, this was your idea. But if we could post-process, like generate the images, post-process it to like remove like some shade of green or something and see if it works.
Yeah. Force the model to upload a background and then remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Bundle image magic into the extension. Every single company
No.
has been in image magic hell. You can't escape it.
no, we will wait. They will fix it. I believe in them.
They have to just run it locally.
Because the
What do we get
problem
first?
we think. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask Gemini CLI or Nano Banana transparency. We can see. We can dream.
That looks great. Kangaroo hop.
Hey, I mean, I'm sure we could come up with something more creative, but I think it's judging by the competency of this model. I think it's time we do a Groq Kimi hackathon. So, I mean, I'm gonna contact the people at Groq and see if they can, work with me on. Oh, hey, I'll hit you guys up later about that. But I heard something go through one of our channels. Our marketing person Teresa mentioned it, and so I like how competent this model is. My biggest fear in hosting a hackathon with an open source model is that I'm like, hey, here, hackathon, everybody, use a model that isn't good. And that's not the case with this.
It's good to hear. But yeah, you should definitely talk to TJ, our head of DevRel. He's awesome, and potentially there's something we can do.
Yeah, great. Oh, okay. We have some questions coming in. Dan, have you had a chance to dig through those questions? I am not up on them.
There's a very important one, and it says, did the Roo Code's naming idea originate from Australia? That's a pretty important one.
No
Matt would be
question. I mean, it's a crazy family tree for Roo, where some of you know that we kind of spun out of a veterinary company, a veterinary labor marketplace, which still doesn't really explain where the Roo came from, but maybe it's a little bit closer. I think they just thought that a kangaroo was a cute mascot, and Roo.vet was an available domain. So yeah, it's a family tree, generational trauma, we'd call it.
Wow. Um, that's the best we've got, eh? You mean it's not originally some mom and pop shop that started and then made its way to San Francisco to the big leagues and has thousands of employees and no. Okay.
Yeah, I think when we win, we can create some, some founding myth about it. I haven't gotten there yet. Oh no, I think that's a cute name. Cute name, animal themed. I like the logo.
Yeah, great logo. It is I think having a mascot. And I like that we went away from the robotic idea because I don't know. Um, I like to think of Roo Code as it's got some humanity to it. But who knows? Time will
I
tell.
think there's possibly too many puns possible with it, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell how remote control lands outside the building, but we're gonna keep going until someone tells us to stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't use any image generation in my prompt. We totally could have. There we go. Yeah. See? There's the Roo Code kangaroo. Joey.
Oh, that's
So
the
we've
name.
I don't know. That's just what sometimes people call it. So, with this remote control, let's take a little more of a look here. What do we have going on here? With this new interface, you were able to see your past tasks. And in this case, I could actually go into a past task and hit test. If you look on the left side, it took over the the VS Code instance. So this remote control, and I hit stop, it stopped, no problem. I hit end, killed it. And it's like instantly responsive.
So
Um,
responsive.
we've got the ability to go in here and look at your usage. You can see, okay, this is my demo machine. Here's how many tokens you've used, um, how many tasks you've made, your costs, etc. And this part here is actually free. You can use it. And one thing I want to highlight is there is a total free version of this. We do have the 14-day trial, but the free version is that you can watch your tasks. So if you want to get away from your computer and you don't want to put in $20, no problem. You can still sign up and watch your task and see, okay, no, it's time for me to go do some input and then, run downstairs or over to the office or whatever, and make the input now that your task has completed. I personally have found this remote control feature more useful since ChatGPT 5 came out because I was used to using Opus and they did quite a bit to speed it up. So I wouldn't often be away from my computer while I'm running 3 or 4 tasks and then have one complete because they're just completing. I'm switching between these 4 windows. With GPT-5 and high reasoning, it can take a while to do the same thing as Opus, but I find the result to be generally superior for way less money, but the trade-off is it takes a lot longer. And that's where remote control really, really makes it easier. And so I'm excited for the day, hopefully soon, when we have notifications. So I can, pretend to be paying attention to my children. No, I'm just kidding. Um, that's totally not the reason. I'm not going to do that. I disable notifications when it's kid time. So if my wife's watching this, that didn't happen. I never ever started a new task in Roo Code while I was at church.
Make sure to
Yeah.
change the sound of the notification so they cannot identify it. Actually, yes, I also agree with the notification thing. When I'm using my phone, I get distracted pretty easily. So that is surely something that I need to pay attention to what remote control is doing. But I found myself using it more recently, especially when I'm like eating or I'm already out of the computer and a new model pops up that I need to add. And it's definitely very useful.
I mean,
Yeah.
models like or providers like Groq are really going to cut into this. You're going to get like half a millisecond before You start getting
Hey,
notifications all the time. Like, I did it. I'm done. All my tasks are done. We need like slow mode to get away from touch
Well,
grass
Yeah, I was
mode
about to
for
say you're
in
not
it,
gonna have that
in,
issue for much longer.
in
yeah.
anticipation of notifications on the mobile, I've been trying to work on, I've been toying with them on the desktop to get them so that we can sort of select what events do I want to be notified for. And if I can get them to work nice and smoothly with the Mac OS system notifications, then I think that interface could scale over to our remote control. But it is surprisingly difficult to get notifications out of a VS Code plugin and actually make it so that when you click them, it goes back to where you want it. And I'm running 9 or 10 VS Code instances. I don't want to be notified that one of them's complete. I want to know where I need to go because I'm clicking around, sliding screens, trying to figure out what's going on. So,
I think another cool feature that I think Roomote Control enables us to add is voice dictation. So,
Mhm.
if you're running Roo locally, you basically, if you're running Roo, we expect you to provide your keys, and every service that you're going to use is provided by you. But now with Remote Control, something that runs on our servers, I feel like we can add more stuff like that. And I feel like voice dictation would be great as well. Just telling Roo, talking to Roo while it's doing its thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, and we can. There's some questions in the chat. I think we could start with the PWA, to get notifications. But I do wonder if we're going to need a native app pretty soon to do things like the voice. Maybe you can do all this stuff in, through Safari or Chrome right now. But yeah, I can imagine us expanding into a more full-featured mobile experience. As people do this. It's really interesting that there's some people who like to them this really clicks. It's like, oh, I this makes a ton of sense. I would pay any amount of money for it. But I do think there's still a lot of people who are like, I don't get it. Why would I? Why would I be looking at my phone for my code? I have a VS Code. So I think that's also part of the thing we're trying to balance here is how to make sure I'm meeting people where they're at, like building the right things I mean, I 100% believe that we're moving in this direction where coding is going to be a little bit less hands-on and maybe more parallelized, but very unclear to me. I saw some crazy tweet where it's like, people are doing all this incremental stuff, but it's actually going to feel more like, I don't know, StarCraft or something like, you're going to have just like crazy controls and be like actions per second is the only thing that matters. And I don't know. It's really interesting to think about that. So if any of you have ideas about how you'd actually like to like stay on top of these tasks, like I'd love to discuss that in some format as well. It's like one of the most interesting things for me. Um, and speaking of all these task complete things, like I got a huge graveyard of like all my tasks that I started on my dog walk and then I forgot about, and they're probably some of them are good, but it also seems like we're gonna need just like the farther along these things get, I just think the game changes in how you want to use them. So again, stay
Yeah,
tuned, but I expect it's going to evolve.
yeah. My theory is that we've moved the bottleneck now to now the hard part's going to be going in, testing it, making sure it's good to go. So like I've kind of ideated around with my own production app. Can I figure out a way to just always every time a task runs, auto spin up a uh, like an actual instance so that people in my team, like my designer, say they want to go in and do something, they should be able to throw in a task and then get a link back to go see what it looks like. Like if they're trying to ideate like with some new
Yeah.
thing. So part of me feel because like right now what happens, it's a little bit hard for them to like spin it up, get it running locally and all that stuff. Like so I think I've moved the bottleneck a little bit to now it's how do we deploy this? How do we get it in people's hands quicker so that we can do like the first pass iteration of like, hey, this is the right path, and then hand it over to the engineer versus, you know what I mean? So
One thing we're playing with right now is the ability to view diffs. So I find when vibe coding stuff, so you can produce 8 results, eight solutions to your problem. The first step is to figure out which ones are absolutely trash. And
yep.
usually, just looking at the diffs, you can be like, well, it changed the app icon. So I'm not even going to look at this one because we were trying to fix a bug related to the terminal. Um, and you can just clear those out. So I think by adding some of those controls to more easily detect, and maybe even feeding it to AI to help detect, like, hey, does this solution, from a devil's advocate perspective, does this solution, is it in the realm of possibility? So we are working on things like our PR reviewer that will do things like that to figure out, like, look, no, this is just, throw this out, try again. So
Yeah, there's a lot. It just seems like the whole goes so deep on like how this virtualization. Like I see a question about tunneling, so you can access the web app locally. I think these are all super interesting questions. You can kind of see a preview of the future. I use Vercel a lot, and like I think that experience when you're building something on Vercel is already so magical. Where you can make a PR on your phone, it creates the preview environment. It gets a URL. You can click on it. You can see the thing. You can, I don't open the editor at all. I think that's awesome. My experience hasn't always matched that at companies though that don't use Vercel. It feels like you kind of pay the tax like for your development environment setup. Like a lot of companies I've been at, like engineers don't have their own development environment, so showing someone what you did is actually really hard. So I don't know. It almost feels like we're gonna need to solve this problem, maybe in a different way now. But 100% agree. It'd be awesome just to open a port in some secure way so you can actually see what the agent did, and that feels like just a really, really important problem that someone needs to solve. Um, and if someone's working on it, I'd love to talk to them about it. Let me
Yep.
know.
I agree with that. Because like what we have it automated in our system where you can go and like kick off remote tasks, and then we basically push them to feature branches. So then branching
okay,
becomes a problem, like merging things in. But then like getting the environment, because I really want people that are non-technical to be able to see what they've output, and that before it even gets to an engineer's hand. This is my goal. I don't know if this is realistic or not. So I would love to also see a solution for this in some way, because I want them to be able to throw things in as much as possible. Like just do whatever the heck they want. Get to the point where they've got a pretty good idea of what we need to build. Give us a version that's kind of working, and have us go make sure it's what it needs to be. Like I think that would be, to me, that's the ideal workflow in the future.
yeah. Well, we're coming up to time here. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Groq, for providing the compute for our demos. And just so you know, see this, if you look at our screen, even though ChatGPT-5 or GPT-5 Mini absolutely aced the evals, this is what it made. And so the one that we were just working on prior was one that we did with Groq Kimi. It smoked this. So, evals,
Yeah.
Matt, I mean, maybe we need some new evals, Matt. Huh? I want to close on that note. I got the last word. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Matt. And Aarush, thank you very much. Have a great day,
Yeah,
and
Thanks for
I
having
look
me.
forward to seeing you guys
yeah.
again.
Yep. Later.